Wow, I actually got it right. Holy. I think this is the first Whodunit movie where I actually successfully guessed the murderer, like, correctly. Okay, sorry. It's just that I'm normally bad with these type of movies since I don't have the best attention span. That's not to say that this movie was very predictable, though. It's just that this is, I believe, Kenneth Branagh's third stint as Hercule Poirot. Hopefully, I pronounced that correctly. But yeah, it's like once you've seen enough of these movies, you tend to understand that the one who done it is the one that you least expect. That's what I'm gonna say. But hey, also because that there's been a lot of these movies, I have to say, at least for me, this one just seemed to be another one to just pass the time with. More on that a bit later though. So for Kenneth Branagh's third chapter as Peru, he investigates a murder once again, but this time while attending a Halloween party in Venice, Italy. And as the title and the trailer suggest, this one is a lot darker and spookier than the rest. Certain parts of it reminded me of Ouija Board or Hereditary, but this one was much more of a tame version of that. But I mean, nevertheless, like if you're into supernatural horror, like spirits, entities, and stuff like that, you might like this one a lot, But me though, yeah, if you know me, I don't really like supernatural horror. I just can't stand those type of horror movies. Not because they're scary, but they just feel kind of like dumb and kind of fake and filled with basically the same familiar themes you've seen time and time again. That might just be me though, but to back up that claim, this movie follows suit with stuff I don't like in those movies, such as cheap, loud jump scares. I mean, it kind of felt in a way like a House of Horrors or like an amusement park horror ride. So, yeah, if you like those things, then you might like this one a lot. But I will admit, despite this movie showing me some of the things I don't like in horror movies, the atmosphere, lighting, and cinematography really set the tone for what this movie ultimately brings, which is spookiness. And it's essentially a whodunit that goes supernatural. Also, we thought. Now, still following suit from the previous movies, there are times with a lot of talking that might bore some people. But despite all of that though, this movie does get very interesting in some parts as there are a few twists and turns. As expected though, of course. I know it's hard, and I certainly can't say, because I don't have the best attention span. But I highly recommend you guys pay close attention to the little details in this movie, even though it might be hard, because at least for me, I found out to be a few pretty smart hints earlier on in the movie where I don't really actually learn about that they were hints, or like I didn't realize until the finale. I do wish there were kind of like more hints though, because the big reveal towards the very end kind of felt a bit overwhelming. It kind of just felt like they just throw everything at you just randomly. The story in and of itself though, while turned out to be pretty simple, and some might argue dumb, to be honest. I feel like some people might say that about what happened or the story in this movie. It still was thoroughly enjoyable. It was might not be the best, but it was still enjoyable to some extent, and it was also kind of like emotional and beautiful in a way. Much like the city of Venice, where this is shot in. Or was it shot in it? I don't know. But all in all, if you ask me, this is not one of the best whodunits. I mean, there are a lot of very familiar themes, right? It's not one that's too special or gonna be the most memorable. But if you like supernatural horror, I did it again. But if you like supernatural horror, whodunits, and want to know about Poirot's next adventure, then you might like this one a lot. I am glad this wasn't based off of like a 1970s something like original take of the story, like the previous two remakes were, Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express. This one, I believe, is just based off of the book, and this is, in fact, I think, like the first film adaptation of the story, which is pretty interesting and nice to see. Unfortunately, I never read the book, so I can't really compare to that. But if you guys didn't watch my Death on the Nile review, which I'm sure you haven't, since that video got like 4 views, and I'm pretty sure all of those views were from me. But like I said in that review, when I watched the original Death on the Nile movie, the 1970 something one, before that remake, it kind of spoiled me, and it just wasn't good because I had something to compare it to, and I found myself still preferring the original film, and I wish I would have I wish I really could have gone into that without watching the original, but and then like watching the original afterwards. But being a movie reviewer and reviewing movies, I had to put a comparison in the video, right? I'm glad this one I didn't have to do that thing, so there was nothing to compare it to. But then again, this one, it's just felt like another average run-of-the-mill whodunit. It had that supernatural kind of vibe, the horror, PG horror, which is, I think, the main selling point here. It's what differentiates this kind of the spookiness of it. But like I said, the spookiness of it really, majority of it really reminded me to like horror movies that I'm not too fond of, like with the cheap jump scares, the fakeness, the spirits. I am glad this film kind of goes, like I said, there's a lot of twists and turns, and it kind of goes in the direction that kind of, I don't want to say any more than that, but let me just say, I am glad this film goes in a direction that is more realistic. But what I'm saying, this is both based off of the book. I guess this is just a perspective from someone who hasn't watched the book, an average consumer's perspective. I'm going to give A Haunting in Venice a B-. I don't know which one I like the most, like out of Kenneth Branagh's 3 Peru takes. It has been a while since I have seen Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, though I'm pretty sure that was just only a year and a half ago, which honestly wasn't that long ago. But it's just that I watched so many movies during that period that I just kind of forgot. But let me just say, this one definitely, probably wasn't my favorite out of the bunch. But if it is somehow, since I forgot how I felt about the other two, then wow, that's a pretty low bar. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna stop rambling, and like, sub if you enjoyed, and as always, feel free to check out any of my previous videos. Until next time.